In this video, we're going to take a look at the different type of gameplay overrides available in Command PE. A gameplay override basically takes the normal functionality of Command PE and does something to it that changes the way it does. The basic ones that we have at our disposal are the ability to shut off point defense. In this case, we want to simulate the effects of a weapon on an airplane or a ship without any sort of complications such as a CWIS or chaff. We have the ability to overwrite the percent hit of a weapon at given range. We'll take a look at this in detail. And we also have the ability to change the random number generator using a different type of distribution. So the first one we're going to take a look at is the CEP range. We have two different types of distributions at our disposal. The first one is going to be a uniform distribution, where you're going to basically, if you were to imagine sort of a box like this, all the different positions that would be randomly generated would be completely randomly placed. The second one is a normal distribution. This is going to give you the ability to concentrate them in a smaller area closer to the center of the area that you're actually going to be working on when you generate numbers. This is a great way to go ahead and simulate the different types of salvos, for example. This would be a pure random one. This would be a much more concentrated one if you're using some kind of artillery. The second item we're going to take a look at is going to be our AA weapon pH. This gives us the ability to overwrite a particular weapon's performance in a given profile. In order to make this work, the first thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to actually activate this particular function. So I'm going to come down here and go ahead and activate this one. After we do that, we then have to go ahead and define which weapons we're going to go ahead and override. So in this case, we're going to make our way over to our overrides. To get to our overrides, we're going to make our way to the resources folder, overrides, public AA weapon pH, and then you're going to see this data.xls file. The data.xls file looks a little bit like this. Basically, the way this works is we define what weapon we're overriding, what target we're overriding the weapon on, the minimum range, the maximum range, the new percentage to hit, and any sort of comments. In this particular case, we've set up a basic example using an AIM 120D, and our desired target is going to be the Sukhoi 35S. Now, once this file has been saved and dropped into that folder and that mode has been activated, let's take a look at what it does inside of Command. Now, what we've done here is we've set up a simple F-35 carrying the AIM 120D. We've also enabled that option inside of our overrides configuration. Its target here is going to be a Sukhoi 35S. Note that the way these are going to be set up whenever you're using an AA weapon override is you always need to use the weapon ID as well as the target ID. In this case, if we wanted to identify the DB ID, it is at 2689 in case we want to come back and play with it later. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and grab my F-35. I'm going to activate its radar, take us off of Guide's Eye View, and we're going to go ahead and do ourselves a direct engagement. We immediately spotted the target. We're going to go ahead and order up an attack using a pair of the AIM 120Ds. Now, keep in mind, in order for this setting to work properly, this particular aircraft has an opportunity to use any of its own weapons or any sort of point defense or countermeasures for the purposes of this engagement. The weapons have been launched, and now what's going to happen is, as they make their way to the target, they're going to go ahead and strike them, and you're going to see a new modifier towards the bottom. In this case, I'm not going to order up any special attacks here. We'll go ahead and speed things up a tiny bit here. Getting close. Weapons are coming into range. He's lost sight of them, attempting to outrun them. And now we can watch them make their way. So unfortunately, this Sukhoi is able to basically outrun those missiles. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move him backwards just a teeny tiny bit to let the weapon go ahead and strike him. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the message log and see what's changed. So if I go to Weapon Endgame, I notice that there is a weapon override active indicated down here in the bottom. We'll see that normally it would be a term in PH, but it has an automatic overwrite based on what we said inside of that file. Now, if we were to take a look back at our Excel file, you'll notice that at the particular range interval, in this case 27.7 nautical miles, is between 20 and 40, and therefore the PH override percent to hit is going to be 70%. Keep in mind, one of the things that I had to do to this aircraft as well was to actually remove its point defense systems on board. We had to get rid of its chaff, its flare, as well as its ECM. Otherwise, it may have been able to defeat the weapon before it actually made contact.